here was here last year or the year before? Sunday, you were here, so you remember us from last year?
No, I was no.
Oh, sorry about that. What I mean to say is, who here remembers us from last year or the year before? This is our third year doing this walk. No? Okay, all right, awesome. So just a couple, great. I love sharing this adventure that we're on, that we've been now third year in a row. We're doing this. So what are we doing? You might be asking, unless you've already been told what it is that we're doing. We're here. We got a couple more coming in. Cool. All right. Come on, gather round, gather round. Let's see, anybody else coming in from over here? Anybody else that you know?
Not that I know.
Okay. Perfect. And this is, I'm truly honored to have everybody here, so thank you so much. This is our third year doing this event, this walk. The first year it started out as a run. And so specifically, what are we doing? So my name is Robert Swiderski. I am the son of a retired Chicago police officer. He retired 20 years ago. And the first year he helped me to put this together, and actually all 3 years he's been a very instrumental part of what we're doing. And what are we doing? So what we do is the name of our organization is called Running for Blue Lives. And what we do is advocate for Chicago police mental health and suicide prevention. And the way that we do that is by honoring and celebrating all of you and remembering those that have been lost to suicide. The plain and simple and incredible truth is that all of you are amazing. That all of you are so needed in this world today. And you know more than anybody what you deal with and who you deal with on a daily basis. You see the worst of the worst out there, right? Because that's your job. Your job is to go out there and protect and serve, take care of the people that need to be taken care of. But it's also to remove the criminal element. It's to remove the evil from this world, right? And play a part in keeping our society safe and running smoothly. And it's pretty damn hard to do, right? I'm not an officer, but I could just imagine how difficult that it can be to do that. And so, understanding how challenging it could be, right, brings about this thought that there are burdens that you carry. Would that be a fair statement to make? That there are difficulties and challenges that you face, and sometimes these burdens get really heavy. Well, the reason that we're doing this walk, this long, extensive walk, especially the walk that we're doing today and what we've been doing for the last couple of days, is to.
Yeah, that's the boy play, right?
It's not. There's no way we can duplicate what you do with the burdens you carry. But this walk, in a way, is a physical journey for us, just like the physical journey that you are a part of every day with the work that you do. And what else is true is that it's also an emotional journey, right? The ups and downs and the highs and the lows with, the doing your job every single day. And that is also true for what we're doing, right? We've been going at this now for over 36 hours straight. We've run 63 miles so far. Not run, we've walked 63 miles. And on top of that, we've been carrying this weighted vest. Now we started out carrying, this whole vest was filled with these bundles of pennies. Every single pocket was filled. And for the first 12 hours, I carried this vest. And there's a significance to the fact that they're pennies and that there were 9,000 of these. But first, the weight that I was carrying for the first 12 hours was 50 pounds. And it's pretty heavy to carry for that long of a period. And that burden on my shoulders, while I had hoped that I would be able to carry it the entire time, it simply became too heavy. And I had to accept that fact, that I had to let go of this burden, that I had to lose some of it. And in fact, I went even further. I've had help from my team member Doug, and John Catanzara was out here for 3 of our districts, and he carried the weight for those districts, which really helped me. Because the truth is, like what I was doing, or I should say, what I was doing, it was not about the weight that I was carrying. It was about finishing the race. The work that you do, right, is not about carrying a burden. It's about finishing your race. It's about doing your job to the best ability that you can. Because of what you're doing, serving and protecting your community, taking care of your family, taking care of yourselves. So it's not about doing the impossible. It's about recognizing when the burden becomes too heavy. And it does become too heavy. So before I get to sharing how we know it gets too heavy, I want to share with you why 9,000. Actually, that does lead into that. The reason that we know it gets too heavy is because over the last 5.5 years, remember how I mentioned that what we do is we advocate for mental health and suicide prevention? Over the last 5.5 years, there have been 20 Chicago police officers that experienced this burden that you experience, this difficulty with the work that you do, to the point of coming to a place in their life where they felt they could no longer carry the burden. They felt so hopeless and helpless that the only way they could relieve that burden was to end their own life. In the last 1.5 years, there have been 9 of your brothers and sisters who carried a burden that was too heavy for them. And many of you know who they are. Edward Doherty, Patricia Swank, Duran Lee, Andrew Dobda, Jason Aarons, Timothy Nelson, he was retired for a short period, Alina Rovarska, Patrick Myers, John Cruz, and finally the most recent, Jeffrey Friedlib. These are individuals, these are human beings who carried a burden too long that was too heavy for them. And so the reason for the pennies is the penny represents this idea of checking in with one another. Have you ever heard the expression, a penny for your thoughts? Right? It's this idea of saying, hey, what's on your mind? How are you doing? No, really, right? How are you doing? I know you've been having a rough time out there, right? I know you had a difficult day. Let's talk about it. How can I help you? Like really doing something to make a difference in this person's life. Really checking in with them. Not some, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. Oh, good. And then you move on. That doesn't work. And so the idea of the pennies is to really be present for somebody. And so we carried 9,000 of these pennies that represent the 9 officers in the last 18 months. But also, every one of these individuals, before they had that final thought that ended their life, they had 1,000 other thoughts that eventually led to that one thought. So what does that mean? That means that we have 1,000 opportunities to be there for one another. 1,000 opportunities to check in, right? 1,000 opportunities also, and I don't want anybody to miss this, for you to be responsible for your mental health and well-being, for you to be your own best advocate. Why? Because you matter. Because you are a human being that makes a difference in this world. 1 is too many. 20, we need to do something about this together, collectively, to really be accountable to one another. Meaning that your brother or your sister can count on you to be there to check in with you. Because it really does matter. Now earlier I mentioned about how this is a journey that you're on, and that it's a physical journey, right? The work that you do. It's an emotional journey that you're on. And this is what is often missed, is that it's also a spiritual journey. We don't think about that because it's not like present, except that it is. And it's the most powerful part of who you are. See, does anybody deny that there is evil out there? Right? And the opposite of evil is what? Good. That's where you come in. God has ordained you to get rid of the evil in the world. God has ordained the good that you are, the servants that you are, to protect those that need to be protected. That's why this is a spiritual journey. And we don't want to forget that. We can't forget that. And what that also means is that you are not alone. You are never alone. You may not be present with another human being, but you always have your Father in heaven who is there for you, who is there listening. You can just talk to him at any point in time and check in with him. You let him know what's going on. You know, invite him into your world, knowing that you're not alone. And so being that this is a spiritual journey, I'd like to end my part here, and then Lizette's going to say a few words with this National Police Prayer. Almighty God, Father of all mercies, we ask thy blessing and guidance upon all law enforcement officers engaged in the protection of our citizens. Be with them in their lowly tours of duty while patrolling the busy streets of our cities and the remote areas of our country. Give the blessing of your wisdom to know and to do what is right. Temper their actions with mercy and justice. When their tours are completed and the day is over, guide them safely home to their loved ones, just as I know that is your desire. We also ask thy blessing and eternal rest to all of our brothers and sisters who have sacrificed their very lives in the performance of their duties. And that includes these officers here who sacrificed their lives because one moment in time, one decision, one final thought does not define their entire life. And we know this because so many officers who have shared stories about these officers said that their careers were incredible, that they made such a great impact, that they mattered. Give to their loved ones the peace and the strength to bear the anguish of their loss. Remove all resentment from their hearts, knowing that eternal peace and rest will abide over their departed loved ones forever. This we beg in thy name forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. Amen. As I'm hearing